Good afternoon. I'm coming to you from the OCCE, better known as the Forum. This place is about a mile west of where you're sitting right now. And right here, this is what's called the pit. This is where the faculty would gather and present to the students the work that they brought with them and share with them the things that made their work special so they could go on and learn. Generations of gifted storytellers have been in this room. This place has been filled with students, and what they would look at are the great works of people like Charles Kuralt, the Turnley brothers, gifted combat photographers who do their work in still, all the way to Darren Durlack, who is a 3-time NPPA Photographer of the Year. It is with some sadness that we are leaving this great room that means so much to the NPPA, but we are very excited about our transition to Gaylord. So now we're going to start a journey across campus, and we're going to check in from time to time. But first, I need you to meet the faculty who will be helping you in your journey in the 2013 NPPA News Video Workshop. Think of what it took to get you here today. All of the good, and yes, bad decisions. What influenced you? What shaped you? What gave you what it takes to be in Oklahoma on this day? You're a changed person from when you began telling stories. Your work has developed, become richer and more meaningful. But now it's time to break through, to go even further. This workshop began in 1961.
A television news film workshop. Their assignment, cover a routine VIP arrival. The faculty, selected by the Air Force, the National Press Photographers Association, and the Radio and Television News Directors Association, brought together a unique staff of specialists with backgrounds and experience covering nearly every phase of both local and network news film production.
From colors scratched on cave walls to digital overload, the common thread remains, it's storytelling. Let's build on what you brought. Crush your bad habits and adapt your attitude. 51 times prior to this, the best in the industry gathered to pay it forward to the next generation. Now, these people are here to share what they've made, offer what they know, and nudge you in the right direction. Let's meet the volunteers who are going to change your life. Daryl Barton is the spine of this workshop. Been everywhere, seen it all. He has the respect, credentials, and attitude. Mix Jesse James and The Godfather. One tough shoot at a time. He's earned his place in photojournalism. From football fields to killing fields, every network news program, 2-time Photographer of the Year, the NPPA's highest and 60 national awards. Play his game well, and he'll be the teacher that changes you. He's a hell of an observer. If he critiques you, you and everyone in the room will remember it. My promise, you will never forget Daryl Barton. Her work will touch your soul. Want to make deeper, richer stories? Study what Lisa Berglund is doing. She's an NPPA Photographer of the Year. Her stories are sticky, visual, and emotional glue. Local news and nonprofit corporations all call upon Lisa to touch their projects. Her gifts have caused her to travel to some of the most remote places on earth. Her passport shows stamps from 25 countries, giving voice to people who are rarely heard. She has an ability to be both at the center of the attention and yet invisible. She's a journalist, advocate, consultant, teacher, and friend. What she brings to our game is rubbing off on thousands of photojournalists and reporters around the world. The owner of Gold Dog Media, we're tickled to yet again bring Lisa Berglund to Oklahoma. Look, he's more than a one-man band. Avilio Contreras is a full orchestra. Rather than start in TV and figure out multimedia, Avilio began in newspapers. He's now a video producer for CNN's New York-based digital original video team. Before that, the Washington Post, Las Vegas Sun, and the Roanoke Times. They're all delighted to have had his work on their websites. What he does stands out, as he delights in telling stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. He shares a trait with many on this faculty, the joy of meeting new people and finding new ways to tell their stories. When you're as good as Avilio, awards come your way, from the NPPA, those who give out Emmys, to the Society of News Design. He's got some hardware. He shares his work at numerous multimedia workshops. Please welcome the workshop rookie from Eagle Pass, Texas, Avilio Contreras. Wow, we could do a whole week with this next legend and not feel bad about it. Who could blame you if watching An American Story with Bob Dotson on the Today Show makes you late to work? He has all the right moves, as graceful as it gets. His conversations lead to amazing revelations. His writing, a tight weave, setting up great people, great surprises. 4 national Emmys, a record 5 National Edward R. Murrow Awards, 100 other honors. Bob got his start right here in Oklahoma, and get this, he's been coming to teach at the workshop since the time when journalists used film, black and white film. He's part of the workshop's DNA. You will agree we are so lucky to lure Bob Dotson back to teach us a thing or two. Not long ago, folks said network news was dying. Charlie Hadlock didn't believe it, and now he's helping to reshape its future. From the NBC News Dallas Bureau, Charles not only produces his own assignments, but shoots and edits them as well. Asked in 1987 to volunteer here at the workshop, Charlie has been shaping our students ever since. Prior to NBC, he collected a stack of awards, including being named Best Reporter in Texas. If you want to tell visual stories through the eyes of regular people, Charlie is your man. This year, the story of the News Video Workshop grows richer, and we're glad you're here to experience. Here's Charlie Hadlock live outside the pit at the Forum.
This Forum building was built in the 1950s, and it's been the home of the National Press Photographers TV News Video Workshop ever since. I'm Charles Hadlock. You may be wondering why you're in Oklahoma. Well, it all has to do with a man named Ned Hockman. Ned Hockman was a professor here at the University of Oklahoma. He taught television production. In fact, the Air Force sought out Ned back in the 1950s to begin a workshop to try to teach airmen how to use cameras and film in editing. As a way of honoring Ned and the University of Oklahoma and this Forum building, we're going to bring a piece of history with us, an Oklahoma red brick. We're going to bring it from the old building to the new to symbolize the new transition. Let's meet some of the new faculty members.
Hold it now! We promise you this, you're going to learn a lot of rules this week, and Kevin Hartfield, God bless him, is going to show you how to break them. It's time to step out the box. His home is the Special Projects Unit at KCNC Denver. He has recently become an expert at the innovative use of small, concealed cameras, and he is one of the few photographers to have an Edward R. Murrow Award. His nickname is Cupcake, and if you can find out why, the faculty will buy you a drink. Welcome, the 2-time National Association of Black Journalists Photographer of the Year, Kevin Hartfield.
Hey! You're part of it!
Stan Heist's career began when he was appointed as the editor-in-chief of the Heist Journal. That paper folded after only 4 issues, but Stan, then only 8 years old, has recovered quite well. Watch him shoot like I have, and you'll spot a trait seen in all the greats: how to be right where they need to be and ready before the action happens. His cabinet is full of Emmys, and he was the 2-time Regional Photographer of the Year. While chief at BFF Baltimore, he became the NPPA National Photographer of the Year. Flush with success, Stan freelanced, got a master's, and taught at the University of Maryland. He now scours the country looking for and training up-and-coming storytellers for Sinclair Broadcasting. Your workshop co-director and a great guy, Stan Heist. You know, it's one thing to say, let's do more with less. Steve Hooker can actually show you how to do a better job in less time and have more fun doing it. A news story and a motion picture require creativity and discipline. Steve will show us some movie techniques on steroids. The goal, high quality, quickly, very quickly. Colonel Hooker, yes, Colonel Hooker, has done tours in both Gulf Wars. At WIS-TV in Columbia, South Carolina, he's the chief photographer. But he was the big photo chief at WDSU in New Orleans, but Katrina changed many lives, including Steve's. 10 Hut, the Louisiana and Carolina Photojournalist of the Year, Colonel Steve Hooker, is on deck.
It's many stories, and most of them begin and end with people.
You know, anyone can go out and get sound, but John Larson, he has the gift. He shows us how to add layers of context, to bring meaning, to show us something larger through the words and actions of the people in his stories. In front of the camera, a genius. Behind it, a man who can see where a story is going before it happens. A reporter in Alaska, then Seattle. He soon moved to Dateline NBC, and now he's making award-winning work on PBS World Focus. He also travels the country, teaching at TV stations committed to quality. He's been recognized with journalism's highest awards, Murrows and Peabodys.
Able to make his voice go very, very low and then bring it up very, very high, John Larson!
All by himself, John Larson is worth the price of admission. Want to know what a good attitude looks like? It looks like Les Rose. Sure, he's technically sound, but his high beam ray of sunshine attitude is what subjects relate to, a connection that brings amazing results. At CBS News LA, Les and his longtime colleague Steve Hartman rewrote the idea that you can find a story anywhere you look. After 125 Everybody Has a stories, Dee and Steve shared a national Murrow and DuPont. They now only get to work together when Steve's on the road comes west. He prefers to hear the phrase, "that was a good story," rather than "that was a cool shot." For Les, it's about the subject, not the storyteller, and that we're all here to make the world a better place. All this goodness means he's a natural teacher. He's a huge music fan and family man. So, if on a cloudy day you need a boost, see our own walking sunbeam, Les Rose. Welcome to Norman in March, where floods, tornadoes, and snow have all showed up in the same week. Now, let's go outside live to Les Rose.
Hi guys, my name's Les Rose, known brick juggler. Yeah, the Forum was a great place. It was good for us for years, but we didn't start out in the Forum. We started out a zillion years ago at Patrick Air Force Base, and so we moved there, and now we're going to move someplace else. You're sitting in it now, and it's a great new facility. So we're happy to be starting out this year the rebirth of the workshop. And here's some more of our faculty.
She just welcomed you to the workshop, but her welcome to this place way back in 1982 wasn't as friendly. But she says her failures as a student later led her to success. She credits Daryl Barton and Bob Brandon for nudging her onto the right path. She was named Arizona Photographer of the Year twice, and NPPA's Regional Photographer of the Year. She also has more Emmys than you can count. Julie left TV, came to Oklahoma, and earned her doctorate. She co-founded OU Stormcloud, an iPhone crowdsourced reporting app. We can thank Julie for us being right here in this auditorium. Remember her smile and soak in her laugh. I present to you Dr. Julie Jones. You know, doing it alone used to mean small market, but now MMJs are all the rage. An early adopter, Joe Little is knocking out award-winning work all by himself in San Diego. Joe's mantra is, if your ship doesn't come in, swim out to it. On 9/11, he was just 4 miles away from the United Flight 93 crash in Shanksville. Part of his day is now in a book on the aftermath. Joe loves a challenge. Just getting to see him in a story is tough to do without a photographer, but watch Joe in action. This is his first year on the faculty, so with a fresh look, Joe Little. A few years ago, almost everyone sitting next to you would have been a television journalist. Newspaper photographer Joe Mahoney realized this workshop was part of his future, so he came as a student. While at the Rocky Mountain News, his work at Columbine and on massive western wildfires resulted in 2 Pulitzer Prizes. Now he's a multimedia photojournalist with Rocky Mountain PBS, part of its public service documentary team. In his free time, he plays hockey and teaches at Metro U in Denver. At the top of his craft, and a nice guy, Joe Mahoney.
go.
So modest, if he could have it his way, I'd say his name, Josh Moranis, and we'd move on. Since he's cutting this open, we'll see if I get to brag about him. Everything we do comes down to the edit, so here's our guru. He says good television is in the details, the small things that make us special. With strong pacing, shot selection, and natural sound, he can compress, yet still convey real life onto the flat screen. He says the editing program is not that important, as it's not the tools, it's the mechanic. Workshop icon Bob Brandon brought Josh our way, and like most on the faculty, he says he's still a student. Please seek out the Rocky Mountain man from Boston, Josh Moranis. Not long ago, the NPPA offered a new honor, Solo Video Journalist. Who's the only two-time winner? Michelle Michael, blend journalist, camera woman, editor, and producer on every story, and you've got what Michelle does. Starting in TV news, she moved to Germany to work for the American Forces Network. Traveling throughout Europe and the Middle East, her work has been seen in 56 countries, including Iraq and Afghanistan. Attitude equals advancement. She says, make the most out of your ordinary days, because that's what most of your days are going to be. We share her with the Pointer Institute and the NPPA Advanced Storytelling and Platypus workshops. This workshop changed how she approaches her work. Welcome veteran rookie Michelle Michael. Matt Mrozinski channeled his love of what we do into something benefiting us all. You've probably seen his work on your computer. The popular Facebook forum Storytellers is his baby. Over 3,000 storytellers come for advice and critique. Not content, Matt co-organized the Northwest Video News Workshop. He's a National B-Roller of the Year, runner-up NPPA Photographer of the Year, and a finalist in 2012. He's taken home Emmys, a dozen national and 40 regional awards. He cut his teeth while on the staff at Wavy when they won back-to-back NPPA Media Market Station of the Year awards. He joined King TV just in time to enjoy their Large Market Station of the Year award. Mrozinski says he shoots for the viewer with a great positive attitude. Matt says, I'll do everything I can to help shape the future of journalism. So we're going to send you on some adventures this week. Some are going to be in town, some on campus, which is where we find Michelle Michael live.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Michael. 7 years ago, I was a student at this workshop. I understood good stories. I knew what made a good story, what good storytelling looked like, even what good photography looked like. I didn't understand why. This workshop broke it down for me. And now I'm on the faculty just 7 years later. Hey, I even made it on the cover of a magazine, if you can believe that, but it was only because of this workshop. Let's now continue our journey across campus. Thank you, Les.
Pleasure.
And let's meet the rest of the faculty.
Step into the shoes of our next faculty member, but watch where you step. Here's how Mike Shue likes to work. Big push! Holding the viewer's hand, taking them with him, helping them experience the moment. His many awards came only after he made the pilgrimage here to Norman to really learn the craft of storytelling. Mike is all about surviving and thriving, taking whatever is thrown at him and making it better. If you're going to do it, love it and let the love show. Mike says you never know when your big day is going to be, so try to make every day a big day. From Baltimore, Maryland, Mike Shue. Everyone on the faculty is a volunteer. Tim Underhill has been on the workshop faculty for a decade and a half. There are countless behind-the-scenes things happening to keep this week running smoothly, and without Tim, it would be a rocky road. Like many on this faculty, Tim came to the workshop as a student. An instructor at Ball State, his work is seen on stations and networks around the world. Tim Underhill. Your next instructor is a story in his own right. Born in Saigon in the middle of the Vietnam War, an orphan brought to America as part of Operation Baby Lift. Well, baby, we're glad you made it. A natural leader at WTSP in Tampa, Florida, he's a photographer who likes to put the camera where we can't and offer a perspective most don't see. a logistical expert, and someone who will give you the Florida shirt off his back. He says if you need it, he'll grab your keys and drive you home. So hitch a storytelling ride with Adam Vance. Greg Vandergrift made it to one of the meccas of TV storytelling, KARE 11. His work there resulted in 2 National Edward R. Murrows, a slew of Emmys, and a half-dozen awards for his writing. Then, when the nearby University of St. Thomas called, he answered. He's now in the classroom and heads their multimedia news operation, all while continuing to freelance for KARE 11. Greg has been awarded for his words, but he teaches that they mean little without a deep respect for the video. Please welcome our resident Jayhawk basketball fan, Greg Vandergrift. Dave knows everybody, has worked everywhere, and has nearly every award. For nearly 20 years, he's either been a student or faculty member here at the workshop. He says he'd prefer to get a hug, but he's been shot at, tear gassed, stabbed, and punched while on assignment. Besides the workshop, he's taught at the Poynter Institute, at dozens of seminars, and 5 universities. Now at the CBS O&O in Minneapolis, he shoots, edits, produces, and then brings a SAT truck to get it all fed. The Swiss Army knife of the workshop, Dave Wertheimer. So, buckle up, hold on, keep your mind open.
Fantastic.
Our live crew has now arrived. We turn it back to Charles Hadlock.
Charlie. Thank you. Mike, here we go.